Hey everybody, Matt Covey, Covey Real Estate. Working here mid-June 2023, and it is turning out to be some exciting times in the real estate market. There's a lot of listings coming up and turning over, pricing moving in a lot of different ways. So a bit of an update for you on the Ottawa market, the Ottawa Valley, what's happening, and then some bigger macro things to discuss to make sure that you're in the loop and you understand what's going on from my perspective. So first off, getting into what's happening in the Ottawa market. So everything's stabilized from going April into May, stats wise and house price wise. A little bit of a bump up in some condo pricing. What you did end up with is a decrease in those rates for a number of days that houses are on market. The inventory's limited. In certain areas, what you're seeing then is a lot of movement quickly on well-priced homes. So especially in this lower stratified price, that lower price, that under 700K, things are moving fairly quick if they're priced right. If they're not, offers are coming in to get them priced right. And if no offers are coming in, it means that you've got sort of like some difference in, too much of a difference in buyer and seller. Right, that's what's happening. So the days on market are staying low because those buyers and sellers seem to be meeting common ground right in the middle. And as it turns out, the Ottawa market, being what it is pretty stable. Things keep moving over and you're seeing that stabilization mid-market coming through price. So why is it that we have certain houses that are not selling or aren't moving as quickly? And I've talked with a lot of people about this. You know, you've got a limited audience and that are going to be able to get into those houses that are more expensive, and they're just taking more time to turn into sales. Not that they're not selling, it's just that the ability to go to the bank and get interest, low interest rate to allow you the affordability of those houses is limited, right? So you're going to pay higher interest, you're going to end up wanting to pay a lower price, and those prices have to come down a little bit. They're going to be adjusting. Because we just had that interest rate increase, just a very small bump up. In Canada, June 7th from the CMHC, banks had already adjusted up a little bit in the weeks coming up to that. A lot of the big banks have already bumped up their rates a little bit. In the US, they're signaling right now that they're going to be bumping up rates more and more. They're talking about rates having to increase more. So what you might want to watch out for then is that pricing adjustment. So days on market staying low, but I think that's stratified down into some lower pricing. If the houses are more expensive, you're seeing some of them stick around a little longer, but prices are adjusting. So what does this mean overall, big market picture? So that, you know, that's your Ottawa market. Condos are turning over, apartments rents are going. There are apartments renting out. Prices are going up, and those places that where the prices a little higher in that monthly rent, you're going to end up seeing it take a little while longer to rent out maybe than you would want, but they are continuing to rent out with some small adjustments. So what's going on in the macro market? And that's one of the big things I wanted to discuss. So there's your micro market, Ottawa Valley. You got recreational properties still coming up, still selling. There's still things moving. Macro though, you're talking about some big things. Number one is, so yesterday, that being June 16th, Friday, June 16th, Canada eclipsed the 40 million people in their population. The total population of Canada greater than 40 million. Big benchmark for Canada. It's been a long time. I think my entire life it's been probably through in the 30 million mark. I remember going to grade school and talking about it being a 31 million. So big benchmark, 40 million. Here we go. So what that means, immigration's really picked up, right? And so when you've got that more people coming into the market, it's going to put some upward price adjustment. Where is it putting that upward price adjustment? Well, if people are new to Canada, you might end up seeing a little more demand on that rent market, as well as the first-time home buyer or getting into condo market, right? So you're going to see some price sensitivity there, and that in Ottawa at least echoed or repeated itself into what pricing happened. Those family homes stayed a little bit the same month to month, but then condo prices jumped up a little bit. So you're seeing that reflected in what's happening in the market. So population going up, immigration's going up, And big news, this was just out yesterday as well, the 16th, might have been 15th, Thursday. CMHC comes out with a report. Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation comes out and says, hey, look, we track month to month the number of new builds that are happening, and we track to see what annual rate these new houses are hitting the market to be able to support the demand that we're going to have for all these houses. So that annualized rate, where Canada really needs it to advance to be able to accommodate all this new pressure on the market. The people need to live in certain places, and what you're seeing actually is that the home builders are throttling back, right? So the rate dropped from March to April, which what CMHC reported on, some annualized figure that dropped from around the 260 mark down to the 200 mark. It's and change. So on an annualized rate, so what you're looking at is a pretty good slam on the brakes, a pretty good stop in new house builds, and a lot of times that's going to be because the builders want to keep their prices high. Why do the builders need to keep their prices high? Well, think about it. They've contracted to build these houses. They've got suppliers coming in, supply agreements for materials. They've got contracts for employment, and those employees really want higher wages because they themselves are struggling to keep up day to day, understand how they can afford things. So the cost of inputs, the major two costs of input of material and labor for their market has stayed the same or gone up, and it's going to continue to do the same. And that means their price on their house has to stay at a certain level. And if certainly you start producing more and more, and every home builder starts doing that, you're going to end up in a situation where there's a lot of supply. It's still getting snatched up, but your price won't be able to go up that much because you continually have big push in inventory coming in. And what you've got now is them pulling back. And the number of houses is not keeping up. So look out your window and realize, hey, there's 40 million people coming into Canada, and look out your window and say, hey, there's going to be a lot more people in my community. And then look out your window and say, how many new houses do I see in my community? And in some communities that may be a lot, and on a day-to-day basis you'd have to wonder how many. But you're going to have to keep in mind, if they can't keep up, where are these folks going to go? And this is the big pressure, and the thing that I think you're going to see in the next little while coming to affect the market a lot more than it is right now. There's going to be a pressure on rental. There's going to be pressure on the high-rise rental. There's going to be pressure on the new condos, or at least the rental of these new condos. I think you're going to start to see that space is going to get filled up. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot more people moving into that space, and you're seeing that pressure there now. So there you go. So there you go. You have inflation is carrying on the cost of labor, on the cost of materials, on everybody's day-to-day goods. That's keeping house prices moving up. That's keeping, and how it flows through new housing, how it flows through repairs to your current house, how it flows through everything. And then you've also got your other things that are affecting populations going up. That's another pressure to increase prices. Home builders are throttling back. You've got more upward pressure. So you got three big things in this upward pressure, and then that one thing the government can control being the interest rate. Well, what do they do with the interest rate? They increase the interest rate. So if the pressure coming in from more population, more immigration, less homes on the market, less resale homes in the market, so less new and less resale homes in the market, are all things that are keeping pressure on pricing to be high, and interest rates going to go up from the bank and from the Bank of Canada and push things lower. What is the breaking point for people's pricing, and how much can they adjust? In my opinion, and this is where we really have to be cautious about our month-to-month budgets and how much we commit to housing. Because through your working life, you commit a lot of your budget to housing, and you're going to take some portion. You make however much per year, you're going to take a portion of that. Usually it's around 35%, give or take, for your housing cost, right? Rent, but paying your mortgage. So if the interest rate goes up and pushes your mortgage up, and then the price of the house goes up and keeps that up because there's pressure behind each one of those things, well, that means that more of your monthly budget is going to have to start to come and from other places, and instead of 35% of your monthly budget going into your housing, you're going to need to spend 40 or 45 or 50%. This number had been up around 50% at some point earlier in 2022. People were really committing a lot of that budget because they felt the pressure in getting into the housing market, and that's what they committed to. So they pushed on, they went in, they got in, and here they are now that they're in the market. And the next thing, and I'll talk about this in the next time that I come up on this, because it's a big topic, is these mortgage renewals coming up and how to plan around your mortgage renewals. These mortgage renewals are coming up. People are going to pay and jump from low to high interest rate mortgages, and that's going to put even more pressure on people's budgets, right? So that might put some downward pressure on that interest rate flow through, again, putting pressure on people's month to month budgets and making more committed of their budget committed to housing. So the big things to take away from this are, number one, we're going to end up needing to start to see different pressures that are going to push prices in the housing market in a different way, downwards. And I don't mean downwards like dramatically. What I mean is, if housing starts don't keep up, if new home builds don't keep up, if the number of houses that are up for sale don't keep up and stay on the market, you're going to have a restricted marketplace. You're going to have less and less people, less and less houses on the market. Buyers are going to have to pay more, just market pressure wise, to be able to get in. And the issue then becomes interest rates going up will also create a lot of different matter for payments to go up. So you're going to start to knock off a lot of people who won't be able to afford to get into housing, and causing that rent to go up. So that's that big summary. I think you're going to need some other things. You are going to need more houses to hit the market, which is an easy thing to happen, to keep prices low. People are just going to have pressure to move, and you're going to see more houses, and that might affect prices in a certain way to come down. And then the other thing being the new housing starts coming up, and them being that they're going to also bring the new housing prices either stabilizing or downward. And if the price of inputs for labor and materials don't go down, it's going to be challenging for those home builders to swallow that pill and to want to lower their price, right? So the interest, if those things don't happen, if you don't see the more houses on the market, if you don't see the new home builds coming up, think about it. The only other thing that you can do to affect prices is for interest rates to go up. And if interest rates do start to go up considerably on, again, from the Bank of Canada and from the banks, you're going to end up with a lot more downward price pressure forced on the whole market. And that itself could signal some big change for people. Why? But what I'm going to discuss next time, which is that mortgage renewal. It's not just people going in that know they can commit 35% of their budget and adjust what they're going to move into. I'm not going to buy that single family home. I'm going to buy that condo. I'm going to rent for a little while. I'm going to try and rent a home program, which I've been working with a company on. Good program. So there's a lot of different opportunities in the market. But if these other things don't start to adjust and the signals aren't there, you're going to see interest rates. They're going to go up again. Prices are going to come down. There's going to be some different effects. So that's my take on it. A lot of macro level inputs, a lot of things coming in that are forcing prices up, and then the prices to stabilize and go up. And the interest rate is doing the same thing. The interest rates go up and they try to bump that price down a little bit, right? And that's what's going on right now. So I don't know what you think. What do you think? Do you think that there's going to be some other solution? If you have anything, leave it in the comments below. I'll be back next time. I'm going to be discussing more about what's happening with mortgage renewals, and I'll crank some numbers out and be able to show you, hey, look, this is what you'd be working on a monthly budget to be able to maintain your current monthly budget with increase in expenses in other places. For the increase in your food bills, this is how much you'd need extra in your pocket to be able to pay down your mortgage to keep the same payment. And that, just speaking very, very quickly to it, really important issue for a lot of people. So that's it for me. I will be back next time. I will have a bigger and program on for the mortgage. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate it, and like and subscribe. I hope you have a great day. If you have any issues at all, I know the market. I know what's going on. I've been working on some land deals up in the Ottawa Valley, and then I've got a great waterfront listing right now. I've got a great starter home up for sale right now outside the city. I think these opportunities coming, and they're outside the city. There's great turnovers in the city as well for people that are looking inside, and I've got my fingertips on a lot of information for that. So feel free to reach out. Details are below. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye for now.